Hey, what's up guys? It's DJ. Welcome back to GoHam Gear. Today, we're gonna be talking about cameras with the one and only Ross Joyner. What's going on, man?
Going well, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Ross called me like 2 days ago. He was like, yo, I'm coming to see you. I was like, all right, cool. He is a professional videographer and photographer, freelance, as well as works with major company doing this. His job is film and cameras and video. And so today I figured we would put three very, very popular cameras: the Sony a5100, which I have two of, love them, the Sony a6100, which we're actually filming with right now, and your camera, which is way better than all these, the Sony a7 III. So we're gonna talk about each of these cameras, and we're gonna say, why would you want this one versus this one, or maybe that one versus that one?
Cool, let's do it.
So Ross, as a professional videographer, you see, of course, these three cameras, but there's thousands of cameras out there. What are a couple things that you think about when you think about video, especially for YouTube? What are like 2 or 3 things that you're like, all right, look for these things in a camera?
Yeah, you're definitely gonna look for something that's gonna kind of give you a nice, clean image. You want at least 1080p, just because 720p right now is just, you know, not really a standard anymore. Everything's moving towards 1080p and eventually 4K, and possibly 8K eventually, but we're not there yet. Thank goodness we're not there yet, but we're not there yet. So, you know, you want to look for something that's going to give you a clean image that's relatively affordable. You don't want to go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars unless you really, you know, are wanting something like this. And you're going to look for something that's got a high bit rate. So that way when you're editing your videos, you can export multiple times or whatever you need to do, just so it gives you a little bit more leeway in post-production if you want to, you know, add colors or whatever. It gives you a little more leeway that way.
Word. Okay, we got the cameras in front of us. We know that these different cameras specialize in certain things. They do things much, much better. And again, remember, we're filming this video with this camera. I have 2 of them. So let's talk first about, you've moved on from your webcam. You got your Logitech C920 and your Logitech where you're like, all right, I'm ready to take that next step into getting really, really professional looking video. I think most people start with the Sony a5100.
Yeah, I would say definitely that. You know, it's still being sold. The 6000 was just discontinued, so you want to look for something that's still somewhat relatively on the market and still has a lot of support from the company. And the 5100 is really great, especially from Sony. It's everything that you really need just to get started, and it produces a great 1080p image.
These are extremely versatile. For example, you can open this up, you have a clean HDMI out. Again, what we're using here, we're using a cam link. We'll talk about that in a different video. But you can charge this, you can run everything. I believe there's even a new app now where you can use this as a webcam without a capture card. Yeah,
the Sony Imaging webcam app that just came out, I want to say maybe about a month ago or somewhere around that time, that you can actually use this as a webcam now if you're using things for like Zoom or whatever you're doing. With your meeting socially distanced or whatever you need, or even vlogging, you know. It's great because it's got the flip up screen too, which is nice.
Yeah, flip up screen is going to show you everything. When you flip it down, it's going to look fine. All these cameras will do this. You flip it up, it'll change the perspective so that when maybe I'm looking at myself like this, we can see ourselves. We can see ourselves in the camera, which is really, really cool. But this is limited to 1080p 60. So, do you need more than that? Because again, we're shooting with the a6100 for this video, we're shooting 4K 30. Now 4K, it takes a lot more bit rate, a lot more processing power than a 1080p. So there's the size difference between like this camera and this camera, reasonably so. However, they use the same lens, which is really cool. So let's say if you buy a lens for this, I don't even know how to take this off. If you buy a lens for this, you can use your same lens on the 6100. Now, tell us a little bit about 6100 and how it's different from the other 2 cameras on here.
Yeah, so the 6100 is the bigger brother to, like I said earlier, the recently discontinued 6000. It was built to kind of replace that and actually take Sony alpha cameras pretty much exclusively into the 4K range. It still has a 24 megapixel sensor, so great photos, you can kind of crop exactly like that, but basically they just added 4K capability to the 6000, and then they added the addition of the flip up screen, which the 6000...
And it's a crazy screen as well.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, this one's just up and down. That one reminds me, it's like a hybrid between this and the A7.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still got that compact size that a lot of people like, and it's kind of inconspicuous.
Yeah.
So you're not waving around in massive camera places. Yeah. And it takes all the same lenses that the 5100 does. Yep. And you can, if you eventually want to get different lenses, you can get better lenses or whatever you want from, if you eventually upgrade to something like the A7 III. Yep. So, which is really nice. And trying to think of anything else.
Well, I think most of them all have these on the bottom. It just allows you to hook up to 1/4 inch. It allows you to hook up to pretty much anything. I actually use some scissor stands on all of these with the exception of this one. But it's literally you just like screw it on, you run your HDMI out, set your camera kind of wherever you're sitting it, and now that's your webcam. It's really cool. This one, that one, they all do it. Sony's are nice because they have clean HDMI out. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of magic to get that clean HDMI out, but this is just an HDMI video out. It's just a smaller plug, that's all.
And I think does this one have the headphone jack on this one?
No headphone jack on this one.
So that one doesn't have, this one also doesn't have headphone jack, but it does have a mic jack.
Yeah, which is why I upgraded not only the news video for the other channel, but this one as well to that so that we can do external microphones.
Yeah, and that's really nice to have an external microphone if you ever want to put like a shotgun mic on top or whatever. Yeah. It just adds a little bit extra versatility to it as well.
Even though we're talking about cameras for YouTubers and basically replacing your webcam with this, where you hear us talking about a lot of extra features and saying like, these are things you want to think about. I bought 2 a5100s before. I was like, it'd be really cool to have a camera that I can use as like a video camera or webcam or something where I can do like a shotgun microphone or even like these lapel mics that we're using, be able to hook that battery pack on the top or something like that. It's the body pack. It's really cool to have the option. I mean, the difference between this and this is it's almost night and day as far as cameras go.
Yeah, and another thing I didn't want to forget is this one also has the addition of a
viewfinder.
Optical view, or excuse me, electronic viewfinder, which is really nice, whereas the 5100 doesn't. So if you want to put it up to your eye, to get video or whatever, it'll automatically switch over to the screen in here instead of the screen on the outside here, which adds a little extra, if you're taking photos or whatnot, you don't have to kind of whatever. It's more of a traditional style of what you would look at as a camera, I would say.
We talked about the 5100, awesome 1080p webcam replacement or footage as well. Over here, we've got a great entry to the 4K market. Again, what we're shooting this with looks great. Yeah, it looks really good. But there's one camera on here that is a beast, and I don't know nothing about it. Show us this one.
Sure. So this is the a7 III. It's one of the entries into Sony's full frame lineup. So it's got a little bit of a bigger sensor than both the 6100 and 5100. So if we compare the sensor size, it's a little bit different. It's about not 2 times the size, but it's close to that. So this is what we call a 35mm equivalent sensor size. So it's equivalent to about what 1 frame of 35mm film is. It shoots 4K, downsampled from 6K image to 24 megapixel sensor. I actually have a battery grip on it, so it's a little bit bigger than what normally most people's cameras would look like.
Yeah.
But it adds just a ton of extra battery life and just things like that, that as someone who does this professionally, I don't feel like I have to change batteries all the time, which is something that Sony really took into account with the a7 III. They upgraded the batteries from the 6100 line and just kind of made the batteries a lot bigger than
these actually take the exact same battery.
Yeah, which is really great if you're upgrading from the 6000 line. But something like the a7 III is going to require bigger batteries just because you're shooting a lot more images, the frame's bigger, it requires more memory. This also has 2 SD card slots compared to the 1 SD card slot.
On both of these,
Which is really great if you're doing things like dual recording, or what I do is if I'm shooting a wedding or something like that, I can shoot raw images on one card and JPEGs on the other in case one of my cards gets corrupted or lost or whatever. I always have a backup. You can also simultaneously record to both SD cards 4K 30p video. And this also does 120 FPS 1080p, which is really great for slow motion and things like that. And this one also does as well.
This one does not.
Which is really great in things, if you want to make slow-mo videos or whatever you want to do, really. I will say one advantage this has is the addition of the full-frame lenses, which these don't. So if you are looking to upgrade from something like the 6100 or any of the 6000 lineup or even the 5100, your lenses that you bought that are kit lenses will work on this, but you'll have a really cropped look, and it will look kind of odd. So if you ever think you're going to upgrade to a full frame camera, I would definitely recommend look at buying full frame lenses that you can still put on these cameras and are compatible. But if you were to move up, you've already got lenses. You don't need to sell your other lenses to be compatible with this, which is really great. I will say it is a lot more expensive than these two.
It is, what, three times more than
about
that
three
one?
times. It's come down a little bit because hopefully, fingers crossed, Sony is announcing the a7 IV soon. Fingers crossed, but you know, there's no official word yet. So I think, you know, for the average person just getting into YouTube or thinking of just trying to, you know, break into the market, I wouldn't buy this starting off. I started with a 6000, and
I would honestly, I wouldn't even recommend this if you're just get a Logitech webcam. Just any of them, doesn't matter. Just get one.
Yeah, don't blow your budget all on that. I would say.
This is definitely a upgrade. This is a huge. Any of these is a massive upgrade. I love the a5100 Elgato, which makes the cam link. They highly recommend the a5100. The a6100 and 6400. Roughly, they're both amazing cameras, and especially if you want to shoot 4K, these are the way to go. When we do our Farm Sim News videos, we shoot in 4K, but I downscale to 1080p. With these videos, we shoot in 4K and we leave it there. So using this camera, maybe a cool like side camera, something like that. Awesome camera right here. I mean, it's just amazing. But even with me, I mean, I'm making what, 20 plus videos a week over 2 different channels now. I don't need anything more than this. This right here would basically be a waste of money for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a workhorse for me. You know, if I had the money, I'd buy 2 or 3. I just enjoy it. I'm taking it everywhere from concerts to, you know, traveling to just a ton of different places, and it really suits my needs best. But for most people, you know, who are just getting into anything, definitely recommend the 6000 series. It's a reliable workhorse from Sony, and they've never steered me wrong.
Yep. Those 6000 series, you use them as a webcam. You can grab them, take them, shoot pictures, shoot videos. It is like the best of all worlds, including price as well. Right now they're a little expensive, about $800, $850, which is what I paid for that one. I think the original one was about $650, $675, something like that.
I think the 6000 started about $650, but you know, don't forget that the 6100 is just the entry level of the 6000 series. There's the 6100, 6300, 6400, 6500, and 6600. So there's a ton of different options of what you really want. Whereas, you know, with the 6000 series, so there's a ton of flexibility there.
Yep. And we're definitely favoring Sony cameras here versus Canon or somebody like that. I'm a mega fanboy, so I'm the wrong person to ask about other cameras. But this just gives you an idea of your step up, especially in a Sony line. Sony's great. You don't have to do anything to make these work. You just plug them in, boop, they work. It's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely, like you said, you know, that's kind of why I recommend Sony to a lot of people, is because Canon has cameras, but they don't really have entry-level mirrorless cameras with the exception of the RP. And it's still about $1,000, you know, just, and that's the entry level. So, you know, Sony's really where you can kind of go, and you can adapt a lot of lenses to Sony too, which is really great. You can adapt Canon lenses, you can adapt old film lenses, you can adapt Nikon. So there's, you know, there's a ton of leeway with that, with whatever path you want to take.
So at the end of it, I'm sure we've confused you, which is perfect. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions about any of these cameras, let us know down in the comment section below. Also, check out my man right here on Instagram. We'll make sure to link him down below. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you to Ross for coming up here and surprising me a couple days in advance.
Of course, anytime, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, and thanks for letting me put you to work as well. And I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, drop a like on it, get subscribed to the channel. If you are new, post your questions about things down in the comment section below. So we have daily videos of questions, unboxings, how-tos, or just like, yo, check this out. Like we said, hope you have a great day. We'll see you later. Peace.